Yeah, you told me to come up here and get started, and you're still walking around talking. Well, we're going to go ahead and let's get a few announcements out of the way. If I can remember them all. If not, somebody can help me out. Saturday evening, 5 o'clock, Young at Heart is meeting in the fellowship hall. Bring a covered dish. If you don't want to bring a dish, come on anyway. Because I'm pretty sure there'll be plenty to eat. Then, what's next? Not this Sunday, but next Sunday, right? Sunrise. Zach's going to be preaching. All right. I like that. When is the barbecue? The 30th is the barbecue. And I think that's all I can remember right now. Anybody remember any other announcements?
Now, Easter Sunday, we're not going to have an evening service?
No, we're not having even. We are having breakfast after a sunrise service. So we will not have service that night. That's the other thing. Zach and Jeremy will be in revival. Where at? Mulberry. If you need directions, talk to somebody else. I have no clue. I mean, I was used to go there when I was real young, but things have changed. I don't know what's over there now. So, and what time is that starting?
5 o'clock Sunday night, and then 7:30 through the week.
Okay. All right, let's remember that.
Choir will be singing Tuesday night.
Choir Tuesday night. So, anybody got any other announcements?
I think some of the youth are going this weekend.
Yeah, Friday.
I need to remember them.
North Carolina.
Yeah, that they have safe travel.
Yeah, let's remember that.
Kids are Kids are treated.
Okay, well, let's go on with how about some prayer requests?
Pray for my brother. He's going through some pretty hard things right now.
Let's remember that.
Remember Miss Betty Shanks, Melanie's mother, she had surgery yesterday. And I think she's okay, but she was in a lot of pain.
Let's remember that. Anybody else?
Remember my family, Dean.
Okay. Let's also remember the people down South Georgia with the tornado that went through.
Remember my grandbabies and daughter-in-law, they're traveling to Tennessee. They're traveling now to Tennessee from Pensacola. So.
All right, let's remember that.
Y'all remember David, he's gonna have some injections in his hip, a couple of weeks.
Okay. Anybody else? Any unspoken? All right. Brother Troy, would you lead us to word and prayer?
Heavenly Father, thank you again for being able to come to your house tonight. And we just pray that you just be in our service, meet with us, and let your Holy Spirit work. Just do what Brother Dean, he brings some message to us, and be with those out and kids out in the fellowship hall, Lord, that's in there that needs a touch from you tonight. And we just pray that your will be done, Lord. We just ask for all these prayer requests that we mentioned, Lord, that you just remember in each and every situation.
Okay. I'm going to be talking a little bit out of Job, chapter 1. I'm not going to read anything. Most everybody knows about what happened to Job. If I had to title this, it's when Satan throws up a roadblock. That's what I would call it. A roadblock out in the city or out on the road could be many different things. They'll put up a roadblock for trees across the road. They'll put up a roadblock if the power lines are down. Winder puts up roadblocks every time it rains under the bridge. And they leave them up there. So, I mean, but it could be anything. Bridge could be out, and that's for you to know that there's danger up ahead from that roadblock. And that's the other part of this is going to be God gives us a detour to go around. Now, it might not be the detour that you're thinking it's going to be. It could take you 30 miles out of the way. Because I know. I've put in it on my GPS in the car. Road will be blocked. And that little lady talks to you and says, in 10 feet, make a U-turn. Legal U-turn. So you don't know how long it's going to take you to get back around. So, but in Job, he was considered the greatest man in the East. And when I say that, because of his wealth, his land, his stature, and he pleased God. Bible says he was perfect. So Satan, though, jumps in and throws in some roadblocks. So I'm going to go ahead and read some of my notes here. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters. He had 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen. Now then, anybody know what a yoke is? When you're yoking oxen, you have 2. So it's actually 1,000 oxen that he had. They're yoked together. And this is a big significant part back in those days, because in order to have 2 oxen yoked together, they had to be trained. So you have 1,000 oxen that has been trained to work together, whether they're plowing, pulling wagons, or whatever. So here we know that, and back in those days, to have trained oxen was very expensive. Somebody had to train them. So then we go on, and he had 500, I'm going to call them donkeys, okay? So he had 500 donkeys. All right. The first thing is the 3,000 camels. They got stolen. The 500 yoke of oxen and the 500 donkeys got stolen. All right. Camels got stolen by a group of people called the Sabaeans. Now, and the other one was the Chaldeans. We'll just go ahead and get that out of the way. Now, Job lived in this land before God allowed Satan to tempt him, test him. He lived in this land right around them people all of his life, and they've never bothered him until now. So that's a roadblock. After his camels were gone, he fell down. He shaved his head and fell down on the ground. And what did he do? He worshiped God. He got around that roadblock. Well, then the servants, oh, by the way, he lost all of his servants except for one with the camels. And the Bible doesn't say how many, but you got 3,000 camels. They've got to be fed, watered. They got to be moved around on the land to graze. Take more than 2 or 3 people. So then you have his sheep, 7,000 sheep. 7,000 sheep, and I think it was the oxens, but they got burned up. The Chaldeans, they stole the donkeys and the oxen. But every time something happened, what did he do? He didn't curse God. He worshiped God. He had that roadblock to come around. So, but then we come up to his sons and his daughters. And his sons and daughters got together once a year for each one of them's birthday. And they feast, drank, had a good time. They partied. Job went, sacrificed for them, prayed to God for them. So he was taking care of his household. So a big wind come and knocked the house down. And my mind, the Bible doesn't say it, but I'm thinking of a tornado because the whole house fell on top of them. So, but Job, always, he didn't curse God again. Now, he mourned. So, we have those incidents right there that Satan, through God's ability to let him do it, threw up some roadblocks. God showed Job how to get around them. Now, I don't know how everybody else feels, but so far that's a lot to take on. Well, then here comes another roadblock, and it's bulls. Now, that's nasty. Bulls are very painful. I researched it, and I'm not going to talk much on bulls. But bulls were from the bottom of his feet to the top of his head, covered his whole body. And they were very painful. So he didn't curse God then. His wife even asked him, Job, curse God and die. That was another roadblock. And then, with friends like Job had, you don't need any enemies. Because every one of them come, and you might as well say they just preached to him, told him what he was doing wrong. And that's another roadblock. In his time of need, his friends abandoned him and was telling him what he'd done wrong. But all this goes back to say, when he got through those roadblocks, with the help of God, bringing him back around. Now then you start seeing the rewards at the end of the end of the book of Job. So, at the end of the book of Job, he wound up with 14,000 sheep. In today's time, 14,000 sheep would cost you $2 million. 6,000 camels, today's time, would cost you $50 million. 1,000 yoke of oxen, trained yokes of oxen, would cost you somewhere around $4 million. And 1,000 donkeys, $100,000. That comes up to be $56 million. That's just in cattle, animals, livestock. There's no significance about the money. It doesn't mean nothing. But I just wanted to point that out. $56 million, that's a lot of money. So, but as I was doing some research, in order to feed all those, it takes anywhere between 2 to 5 acres to feed one. Just one. So I did the math, and roughly comes up to around anywhere from 30 to 50 square miles. It's a lot of land. Then you got to look at the other part of that. He had to have servants or people to work for him to take care of those animals, all that livestock, all of his household. So, as far as what Job was worth, we can't say. We don't really know, because that's a lot of land. 50 square miles is a lot of land. But that part is not significant. Job got 7 sons and 3 daughters again. At the end, it said he lived a long life and saw his sons' sons, all the way up to 4 generations before he passed away. That was getting around the roadblock. Now then, we have roadblocks that come up in our life all the time. It could be sickness. It could be money. It could be anything. Addictions. Anything can be considered a roadblock. But then, if you lay everything down to God, give it all over to Him and let Him take care of it, He'll give you the directions around that detour. So, the detour, if you noticed, I only blocked off one side of the altar up here. That's a roadblock. But the detour is, we still got the other side over here if we need it. Amen. So, I'm going to turn the light off. It's bothering me. So, but now I'm going to ask a few questions. If you want to answer them, you can. If you don't want to answer them, that's fine. Does anybody think of any other detours, roadblocks that would hinder our life with our Christian life with the walk of God? Yeah.
Like even someone that is not with, walking with the Lord, could be a good roadblock. Maybe, I don't know. Seems to be.
Yeah. One of the ones that gets me is witnessing. Satan throws that up all the time. You're not worthy to witness to nobody because of the life that you lived.
That's exactly right.
But that's what we're supposed to do. Because once you turn your life over, truly turn your life over to Christ, witnessing and testifying to somebody outside of the church, I mean, I can go to anybody in here and witness to them and testify to them. But go out on the street and see somebody that's walking down the street and you've got this little thing going on down here, but you ignore it. Satan just threw a roadblock up in front of you, and you'll have to pay for that. In the long run, you'll have to pay for it. But that's one of the hardest things there is to do, in my opinion, is to go out and witness and to testify to somebody. I mean, it can get rough. And I'm supposed to do it all the time. Or just say you're driving down the road and you see this house on the side of the road and you hear that little small voice in your head say, you need to pull in there and see if they need anything. And then you don't do that. A couple of weeks go by, you go by that same house and there's an ambulance sitting in the yard. Could you have done something? Don't know. But it wouldn't have hurt to stop. Anybody else got one they want to talk about? Anybody?
Unforgiveness, not forgiving someone and holding a grudge or something like that, can be a roadblock.
That's a big one. That's a big one.
Prejudice against folks just because of the way they look. Stop them from doing what you need to do sometimes.
Yeah. The way people look, the appearance. I mean, we all sit around with our little families and we say this and this and this about that person walking down the street, but did we really go over there and find out what they needed? Anybody else?
Christians can have roadblocks also. 44 years ago tonight, my wife and my 16-year-old daughter, we got saved. And that's not a roadblock. That's not a roadblock. But what was a roadblock was 3 years ago, my wife, Jesus called my wife home. And that was the most devastating thing that's ever happened in my life. And I asked God to give me a verse that will help me. And he gave me James chapter 4, verse 8, where it says, draw nigh to me and I'll draw nigh to you. He's keeping his part. I'm still working on my part.
Amen. That's good. Anybody else? Well, I'm coming to the end. I've asked Shane to play a song, and I just want you to sit, close your eyes, and listen to it. If you feel like you need to come to the altar, by all means, come on. But if Shane doesn't mind, I'm going to go ahead and let him play this song.
Through so many dangers and toils of this life, I have already come. But He keeps on giving the grace and the strength to just keep pressing on. He's given a promise, and I'm gonna stand on every word His holy word has said, and holding His hand, I'll never fear whatever lies ahead. I'm gonna make it. He's already said that I would. I'll keep on trusting that He's working everything for my good. He walks beside me, and heaven is in my view. Oh, I'm gonna make it in spite of the good intentions I've had. Sometimes my strength can fail, though I have tried the very best that I could. My weaknesses prevail. But then I remember the promise He made, that in my weakness He is strong. And that's when I know whatever may come, His steady hand will lead me on. And on and on. I'm gonna make it. He's already said that I would.
Now then, if you trust in God and you turn over everything to Him, He will take and get rid of that detour. Before we go home, I'd like to give this opportunity if anybody's got anything to say. So if we trust in God and we believe in Him to take care of what's in front of us, He'll tear that barricade down for us. He'll take care of it. That's all I have. David, you want to dismiss us?
Are you looking for a place to worship God in spirit and in truth? Hello, I'm Frankie Green, pastor of Trinity Baptist Church in Auburn, Georgia. We would like to invite you to be in our service with us. Sunday school starts at 10 with morning worship at 11. Sunday evening worship begins at 6 and Wednesday night prayer service at 7. We are a King James Bible-believing, fundamental, independent Baptist church reaching out to those who need a special touch from God. For more information, you can visit us at TrinityBaptistAuburn.com or on Facebook at Trinity Baptist Church Auburn. We welcome you to Trinity Baptist Church, where you will become part of a family.